All right, then. Well, let's continue with the decisions taken at the 304th Monetary Policy Committee meeting of the Apex Bank. Now, I'm now being joined by a professor of accounting, now University of Nigeria, Professor Ophili Ogadioha. It's been a while, Prof. Thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Tolu, thank you very much for having me, and I'm happy that you are here with me.
Thank you very much.
To join us in Abuja.
No, Prof. I know you monitor all of this. Meetings and all. Let me first ask you, what were you thinking? What were you expecting? This is the first meeting for the year. Considering where we left inflation and other projections, what do you make of the outcome of that meeting?
Well, thank you very much. This is a very topical issue, not only for you and me, but for entire Nigeria. I commend the outcome of that meeting. It is a welcome development. It is a shift from what we used to see in the past. And I'm happy about it. Then, before we talk of the expected outcome, we have to look at so many things. One is that the government have two major policies: fiscal policy and the monetary policy.
Yes.
And two of them are supposed to work in tandem. They have to work in tandem to be able to achieve government deliverables, which is the expected socioeconomic impact. And let's assume now that the government plans through the fiscal policy to stimulate economic growth through production, manufacturing, industrialization, and of course, stimulation of commercial activities in the country. This can only be achieved if the monetary policy supports it. And how can you achieve it? Industries, firms use money to stimulate their production. Commercial activities also need money because importers need money from their bank to be able to bring in enough goods that will leverage their income and leverage their profit. But with the MPR we have been having, take it back to 2024, when we were having 17.5 or 18%. Do you know the impact on the borrowing? The impact on borrowing then was that the borrowing rate climbed to 33%. Because some people don't actually understand that the MPR rate is a base rate. It's not the cost of lending. To arrive at a cost of lending or cost of borrowing, it involves the bank putting their own interest, because you don't lend money without gaining anything. It also involves the bank putting the cost of managing that loan you are giving. And that is why it has to shift by at least additional 5%, which is what the bank uses in giving money to the public. Then, if a company borrows at 33% or even at 30%, bearing in mind that cost of fund is just one element of cost.
It's just one.
You have also the cost of production of those goods and services. You have the cost of energy. You have the cost of marketing and distribution. You have so many, including the cost of security, because you manage your security, you install your security, because it's not working, security is not very strong in Nigeria. By the time a firm puts all these things together, the cost of production in Nigeria becomes higher than the cost of goods produced abroad. And then, how can you sell here when you produce locally and the cost of what you produce here becomes higher than the cost of imported
Yeah.
goods. That's why sometimes I always say, CBN, please don't encourage importation and discourage production. Because that attitude, that aspect alone is discouragement of production here. The discouragement of the growth of productive activities, manufacturing and industrialization. And if it happens, you are now encouraging importation, which the fiscal policy of the government is against. You see, they don't work in tandem. Then, that is just one aspect of this. Then coming to another aspect of our monetary policy. You look at the exchange rate that they are handling, because the federal government give them whatever, take whatever they give them, because that's why they were established to do. Okay, when this government came in, the monetary policy managers gave government a very big task of devaluating Nigerian naira. That caused a lot of problem in the system now. Without thinking that if you devalue Nigerian naira, why Nigeria is import-oriented, you have actually heightened the cost of goods and services in the country. For instance, 4 years ago, the cost of one item of goods imported with $1 was giving us 400 naira. Now, the cost of that one item of goods today in Nigeria is giving us 1,000 for 1,005, sometimes 1,006. Which means what an importer imported 4 years ago for 400 is now importing it today for 1,000, for between 1,004 and 1,006. And that triggered the problem of Nigerian economy, because naira was devalued by 400%, and cost of goods heightened by 400%, which means the goods you were paying for in Nigeria 4 years ago for 1,000 is now 4,000. And it's just by one single action of the monetary policy makers. But you know why I'm happy and thank God for this? Because I had a speech of the president and also followed by that of the vice president that dollar will come down within a twinkle of weeks, that dollar will come down for 1,000 naira per dollar. That's a very good, I was so happy to hear this thing, because this is what I've been clamoring all over the years, not only with this government, but with the successive government, that you cannot devalue your currency when you are import-oriented.
But with the stability that we've seen, even in our, look at our reserves as at today, we are talking about over $50 billion. We talked about that just earlier today. But let me ask you, these reforms, many analysts have agreed that the reforms were necessary to be undertaken. Now we have gotten to a point where even the IMF says we are consolidating and now moving. In your own understanding, what do you make? How far have we gone? At least we've seen inflation declining, like I said earlier. What do you make of the reforms now and where we are? Yeah,
let me tell you that there are certain reforms that this government made that are very good. Very, very good. Take, for instance, the fuel subsidy removal. It is a very good decision because it solves two basic problems. Those two problems include the corruption in the system have been wiped out. Secondly, it enables government to recoup almost, I don't know how much trillion they computed that time, that it is the money from the budget that was going into subsidy. That enables the government to get more revenue.
Yes.
So it's a good thing. Then, the tax reform is a very good one. There's no doubt about it, because every country lives by taxes, by viable taxes. It's only Nigeria that, because we have oil, we think that all of that things should go to hell. Then PIA is a good reform. There are many reforms they give. Yeah. The only reform that was given to Nigeria that is not good is devaluation, because that rubbishes all other reforms you are making. Because why are you making reforms? You are making reforms to have socio-economic activities in the country delivered to the populace. Anything you do, get rubbish, because get rubbish by this system. Because the value of 1,000 naira 4 years ago is now 25,000 or 30,000.
Let me also ask you this. When this reform, when the subsidy was removed,
yes,
a liter of fuel sold for as much as 1,300, 1,100, 1,200.
Yeah.
Today in Lagos, we buy fuel at 739 naira, 700 and something naira, or 800 and something in some cases. Why I'm asking you this is, there's been a bit of stability even around that space.
Yes.
And if we read back to countries that have undertook or gone through reforms like this one, that's where they come to say, they say there's no pain, no gain. Because I have an analyst like you also telling me this, that yes, we needed to go through some of those challenges.
Yes.
Prof, that's where I'm going.
I thank you for this also. I already said that some of those policies are
okay, you already agreed
I
that
agreed
some of them
at
are
this.
fine. Okay, fine.
But I said one policy
okay.
have destroyed every gain that we have gained. If we have taken the removal of subsidy and the naira is not devalued, by today, the cost of fuel would have been around the current amount divided by 4.
We are looking at the forex.
That is what caused everything. The valuation is what caused everything.
But remember, we almost hit 2,000 at a point. It was up to 1,900.
That's what I'm saying. I salute the government for doing this. But I'm saying that we still need to do more.
Yeah, more, of course.
Because you see the jubilation
of course
of what we're having. You see more jubilation when it goes down.
Yes.
Then you will see more when it goes down more. That's why I say that is what destroyed all these things.
So if you are to think about the next meeting now, what do you think? What would you expect? Do you expect the Apex Bank to stay with this easing trend?
Yeah, we expect them to continue coming down with the MPR. I expect them to be coming down because that will enable the borrowing rate to come down. And without the borrowing rate coming down, industries will not thrive. I'm telling you, all over the world is bank that sponsors the industrial growth. We cannot be different. That is the issue. Then the issue of the inflation coming down to 15%, I do not agree. Do you know why I don't agree?
Why? It was rebased.
Wait now,
Yes.
wait. 2024.
Yes.
The inflation rate was, the inflation rate 2024 was 33%.
Yes.
Then 2025 ending, because that's what we computed that came out with 15%.
Yes.
2025 ending, you tell me that it has come down to 15%. There's no mathematician or financial analyst or economic analyst that will agree with this computation. Let me give you one instance.
Go ahead.
Just one single instance. A bag of rice that year, or 2024, when it was 33%, the bag of rice was 95,000 naira.
Okay.
Then, when we now talk of 15%, a bag of rice came down to 60, 62, 61, all these things, percent. If you compute it, you can't get anything less than 22, 23%. But they are telling us 15%. It's not possible. And again, that is the only one that I use. If you add the cost of medical bill, the cost of all other things you take to run the family, you will see that nothing came down, including the energy, including the school fees, and every other thing. If you aggregate those things, you will see that it cannot be less than 29, 28%. There's no need to tell people this type of thing.
I'm aware that the NBS didn't do that alone. I think the likes of the representative of the World Bank and all of that joined them in that analysis of putting some commodities or into the basket that were not there before now. But Doc, Prof, let's move on. I wanted to ask you about the Executive Order 09, which redirects oil and gas revenue into the Federation account. I don't know how you would
That's
react
a very
to that.
good and welcome development. You know, I told you that the only policy of this government that I don't like is that one that destroys other good policies they make. You know, that executive order, it consolidates the revenue, it blocks leakages, it reduces corruption, and there are a lot of things in the industry. People are protesting against it. But Nigeria need to move. We need to move forward and not to make money for private purses. So I commend the president for this. It's a good reform. All other reforms he has made are very good and workable. I'm only against one. And he has realized it because he has started talking on the Naira coming down. They have also now realized that the monetary policy, particularly MPR, is killing the industry. It's coming down. So if they don't realize what I'm saying, they wouldn't be reducing some of these things. And the more they continue touching those areas that touch the populace, Nigerians will be happier with them.
So what is your outlook, considering even global concerns and all of that for the economy, for Nigeria's economy?
Well, Nigerian economy has a very bright outlook based on what we are seeing now. Yes. Based on what we are seeing now, if the foreign exchange of the country becomes stronger, Naira becomes stronger in international market, Nigeria will even displace the second in Africa. Because we are import-oriented. We won't allow our Naira to depreciate. Because if you allow the Naira to depreciate, the cost of goods you bring in will triple or double. Take, for instance, like I said, the cost of goods 4 years ago that was costing 400 Naira is now costing 1,005 just by that single distance. So if government could tackle that area, all other areas are okay. Nigerians are not lazy. They are ready to work, but they need enabling environment to work and thrive. And again, on the economic outlook, I said Nigeria will do well, but I do not agree with the World Bank computation of 4.3% GDP.
Well, of course, your opinion, you can back that up. Why don't you agree? Let's wrap up on that. Why don't you agree?
I don't agree because if you look at what make up the GDP,
yes,
the only thing World Bank picked or IMF picked was the oil production. You understand? Which, by the projection of 1.84 or thereabouts, we now show us the revenue. And if it shows us the revenue, it tests on the GDP. But it may not holistically, because you know that oil is just an aggregate of GDP. You cannot just use oil revenue to say because you increase this, you will now hit this and that. I believe that Nigeria can work with the growth of around 3%, 3 point something percent. I agree that we can achieve that with these reforms.
Let's see how it all plays out. Prof, I must thank you so much. It's good to have you live in the studio. Always interesting talking to you. I like your views around Nigeria's economy, being factual as always. Professor Philo Godioha is a professor of accounting, now University of Nigeria. Thank you, Prof.